What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Critical Overlord here. We're going to be talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer in this video here today, the sequel series pilot that we know is coming to us soon from Hulu, hopefully, which will involve also getting a full season order or series order from Hulu if the pilot is a success. But Variety put out a bombshell announcement today that the pilot is rounding out its main cast, and Variety has learned that the pilot has added 5 series regulars to its cast alongside previously announced cast members Sarah Michelle Gellar, who will be back as Buffy Summers, and Ryan Kara Armstrong, who will be starring as Nina, who will be the chosen one this time around that we will be focusing on. Now, in the past, Sarah Michelle Gellar has said that the Buffy sequel pilot will be moving forward this summer, and things are starting to pick up based on a report like this. She's also come out and stated recently that filming will begin very soon, which aligns with the previous summer mention that she gave us. Earlier this week, she posted pictures teasing the table read, which indicates a cast had been assembled, and today we got an announcement of these 5 new cast members. So Variety has again reported 5 new cast members for the Buffy the Vampire Slayer sequel pilot. You have Fali Rakuchava as Hugo, Ava Jean as Larkin, Sarah Bach as Gracie, Daniel Tommaso as Abe, and Jack Scott as Mr. Burke. All I can say is this is a glorious day for scoopers everywhere. And yes, that is a reference to Principal Snyder's line in Gingerbread from Season 3. If I'm wrong on what episode and season that's from, let me know, but I know that came from Snyder's mouth. A very reputable trade in Variety has confirmed several rumored details previously shared by Daniel RPK. Now let's go through them and point out the ones that were in this report. One character that he pointed out in his initial report were Nova, who we know is now Nina, also potentially going to be named Poppy. But she's a high school vampire hunter, determined and fearless, balancing school life with slaying. She's supposed to be the lead. Then you have Abe, Nova's father, a dedicated photojournalist, also a lead. Abe was on this list. Mr. Burke, the school librarian who later becomes a vampire, also a lead. Burke was on this list today. Cole, the alpha of the group, confident and a natural leader, also a lead. Hugo, a nerd from a wealthy family who has a thing for Nova but is awkward about it. Lead. Hugo was also on this list. Then there's Gracie, Nova's best friend, fascinated by myths and a huge fan of Buffy. Lead. Gracie was also on this list. Then you have Maya, a social media obsessed student who gets caught up in the supernatural chaos. She's supposed to be a supporting role. Now, what I had to share with you guys is that there's this alleged character named Luna and Mr. Boyd. That was my stuff. And I wonder if Luna is actually Larkin, because again, the way this goes is names can be placeholders. Luna is supposed to be this activist who was against the rebuild of Sunnydale because it's sacred land, and her teacher, Mr. Boyd, can't stand her because she's always missing his class, but mostly because he is tired of how woke Luna can be. His words, not mine. Boyd wants students to volunteer for this blood drive at school, which is a major red flag since Boyd seems to be a vampire or something demonic. Other rumors I've shared that Daniel went on to echo include Buffy working for an insurance company, Sunnydale coming back, of course, and Buffy going by Anne again. Sarah has been making mentions of new Sunnydale, so a lot of stuff is slowly but surely coming to life. Deadline actually gave us some context on these characters in their report on the show's newcomers. They're saying Hugo is a privileged, likable high school student who is a geek. Jean is playing Larkin, another student described as a chronic do-gooder. That sounds in alignment with Luna, so for now, until further notice, I'll say scoop confirmed on my part. Bach will be playing Gracie, the ringleader for a group of church-going students. Tommaso will play Abe, Nova's single father, who is a photojournalist. And again, Deadline's actually calling this character Nova, not Nina. So a lot of conflicting things here. And it says Scott will play Mr. Burke, a popular high school teacher. So stuff is slowly but surely aging well. I hope this is a lesson for everyone to realize that when it comes to certain things appearing online, stars and veterans like the lovely Sarah Michelle Gellar are not going to put credibility under information that we're not supposed to know about. They're just not going to do it. The only chance we've had of anything being confirmed that wasn't supposed to be out there that soon would have been if some footage dropped. And of course, no footage dropped because they haven't shot anything. I'm just using that as an example because of the fact that I learned today that the Five Nights at Freddy trailer dropped only because it leaked online. But when it comes to just words from scoopers who have a history of being right and wrong, it's easy to come out and just say, oh, well, there's not a lot of truth to it, or that's just fake. I knew exactly what Sarah was getting at. That's why I didn't take much issue with it. I know what she's doing. Many of you who just saw I Know What You Did Last Summer probably recognize when listening to my videos and seeing what transpired in the film, I did a lot of misrepresentation myself to protect the secrets that were coming for the film. That's just how this goes. It's a game that's played. I play it sometimes myself. No harm, no foul. Sarah did nothing wrong. She was protecting what was not supposed to yet be known by us all until the meal was fully prepared. And they're still cooking up the meal. And a better comparison would be until the menu was fully prepared. We're not supposed to know everything on the menu at all times. They're still getting the menu together. They're about to start cooking and preparing it, and then they're going to serve us the meal whenever the pilot is able to air, along with some hopefully additional episodes, if Hulu is satisfied with the pilot that is shot. I just don't know what to say about this. This kind of blew up in some people's face because they were so adamant that it was all misinformation. No, it wasn't. It was not misinformation. I remember when TV Line put out their report, TV Line made it clear they had gotten it from a casting call. Getting hold of a casting call, that's enough evidence for someone like me who knows how this goes. You don't get a hold of a fake casting call. It wasn't fake. They're just placeholders or dummy names. They're subject to change. TV Line made that clear when they put out their report about Nova and all the other friends. Now, as we see in this report, some of those names seem to be sticking because a reputable trade like Variety mentioned quite a few names that Daniel himself reported on many months ago. So stuff is starting to age well. I'm excited for this show. All I hope, wish, and pray again is that it's well written, competent. I don't expect it to live up to what Joss Whedon gave us all that time ago. I just need it to be handled with a competent creative team who is not lecturing us, but has a very important message still at the center, the way Buffy did. And it's very inclusive to all people who decide to watch it. And hopefully it's a hit with Gen Z, because that is who they are appealing to. There's a lot of people I know who are taking issue with the fact that Hollywood continues to try to appeal to Gen Z. Here's the sad reality there. Generations die off. I recognize as a Gen Zer myself who was lucky enough to experience the last few seasons of Buffy in the early 2000s live on TV. What a blessing. I realized that that show was mostly occupied by a millennial fan base. But a millennial fan base will die off, just like a Gen Z fan base will die off. Viewers of generations die off. You have to adapt and formulate entertainment that appeals to up-and-coming generations. Hollywood, from reports and data that's out there, indicates that they are struggling to retain Gen Z's attention in a lot of different capacities, because my generation tends to find entertainment in a plethora of different ways. We don't always want to go to the movies. We don't always want to pay for this movie or that movie, especially when they're shooting everything off to streaming really quick. We're learning and teaching ourselves, oh, well, I can skip that one. It's just going to be on streaming in a few weeks. They want to be able to appeal to a generation that they are losing. They don't have a grip on Gen Z the way they had on previous generations. So they're going to keep doubling down on producing Gen Z-like content. The only thing you can, again, hope for is that the Gen Z content appeals to you if you're a millennial in a way that isn't lecture heavy, in a way that makes you maybe reminisce on your teenage years, because of course these are going to be teenagers, and hopefully they find a nice balance between what's going on with Nina and her friends and Buffy Summers and whatever returning stars come along with Buffy Summers. Sarah Michelle Gellar made it very clear in another recent interview she did with this news outlet from Australia. She's echoed what I've been saying. You really have to flesh out those newbies. You cannot just lean on Buffy Summers. That's going to be a disaster for this show. Through all of Sarah's recent actions, it's a safe assumption that she does not want to commit to telling a Buffy Summers story all these years later where she has to be back in the role full time. She's doing so many different projects right now. She doesn't want to just do Buffy Summers all over again. She's coming back because this show is being done in a capacity that she agrees with. She's wanting to usher in a new generation, but the fan base doesn't really seem into it. I'm going to be quite honest. The comments I see in my YouTube comment section, I recognize that the fan base just doesn't seem up for somebody else taking the mantle, which is quite baffling considering how Chosen ended. That's why I hope, wish, and pray that it can reach a fan base beyond just the Buffy diehards. It needs to connect with a generation that will keep it alive beyond people who say, I'm not watching it because it's not about Buffy Summers. You don't want to watch it because it's not about Buffy Summers, but the individual who plays Buffy Summers has indicated time and time and again, she's not interested in doing that over and over again full time. Not anymore. She wants to usher in a new generation. And if they can knock it out of the park and appeal to a wider audience beyond diehard Buffy fans, they're not going to need you or me to watch this show. They're going to have a whole new fan base to cater to, and you and me can just whine and bitch for all we care to until the end of time. One last thing before we get out of here. It would appear that Daniel RPK has put out another report related to this project, but it seems like the show, until further notice, because this is subject to change, it could be the working title. Show seems to be titled Buffy the Vampire Slayer New Sunnydale. Now, the New Sunnydale bit aligns with Sarah Michelle Gellar's comments to Ryan Kara Armstrong during her announcement where she told her, welcome to New Sunnydale. It aligns with my rumor about Sunnydale being rebuilt, and it aligns with the character Luna, who seems to be named Larkin, I talked about, who is against the rebuild because it's on sacred land. So there's a lot of stuff with this show that is aging quite well, and I imagine the New Sunnydale subtitle is going to effectively be the name of the show once Buffy Summers is done ushering in the new generation, and they'll drop the Buffy the Vampire Slayer part and just call it New Sunnydale. But we'll see. Let me know what you guys think about all this down in the comment section below. If you haven't already, of course, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, turn on post notification, and never miss a video. In the description, I have links to all my social media accounts. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can message me there to let me know if there are any movies, news, or reviews you'd like me to cover in the future. And with all that in mind, guys, I will see you in the next video.